All right, wonderful people. Welcome back to this wonderful channel where we bring you back-to-back update and information as e dey hot. In case you have not joined our social media handle, what are you waiting for? Kindly go and hit the subscription button. It don't shele. Reverend Father Ejike Mbaka of Adoration Ministry has dropped a shocking prophecy wey go shock everybody wey hear am. Every ear wey hear this kind of prophecy go tango. Of course, you know that Reverend Father Ejike Mbaka has been deep into Nigerian politics, giving prophecies. Most times, he has endorsed some politicians, which has turned out not to be helpful to Nigerians. And I don't know why that is so, but many people believe him to be the right prophet. But something happened during the time of Peter Obi, where he called him a stingy man and he was sanctioned by the Catholic Church, even though he said that Peter Obi was not going to smell that seat of presidency. And actually, that came to pass. For me, I would say that this issue of political prophecy is somehow dicey. And for me, I think that pastors and priests should, withdraw themselves from whatever that is concerned with political prophecy, except they are actually sure of what they are doing. Because when you prophesy about a particular leader and say that this leader is going to help the nation, and it turns out to be worse, everybody is going to put the blame on you because they believe you to be the eyes and the ear of the Almighty who hears and tell the people. But if it turns out to be good, I think that's kudos on you. Meanwhile, make we dive into that particular prophecy, make you see the matters will be say it dey happen. Reverend Father Ejike Mbaka drops new prophecy, says Karma will befall every Judas in Nigeria. While delivering today's sermon on Get Behind Me, Satan, the spiritual head of Adoration Ministry, Enugu, Nigeria, Amen, Reverend Father Ejike Mbaka illustrated how the law of karma works according to the Holy Bible. While sharing his explanation, he released new prophecy saying that karma will befall every Judas in Nigeria. If it is destined that somebody will suffer here on earth, don't be the instrument of that person's suffering. Like Jesus was destined to suffer and be killed, but Judas allowed himself to be used. Because karma will catch up with you. The kind of suffering many are passing through in this country cannot be described. That is why I am prophesying today that if you are an instrument to this kind of suffering in Nigeria, karma will catch up with you. May karma befall every Judas in Nigeria. This one is coming from Reverend Father Ejike Mbaka of Adoration Ministry. Amen. Another information will be say e dey for my table. Be say Oga Hope Uzodimma of Imo State. Many people don't come round together say say they must kick out that man from the seat of office. And people like Apuga Soludo them of Anambra State has come together to say whether Oga Soludo like him or not, says whether Hope Uzodimma like am or not, say him go comot for that chair. They say this time no be for him again. Say wetin dey send am for ndi Imo, say no be wetin in dey do. Showdown looms as bandits still hold captives after community release terrorist wife. It don shele for Zamfara state. This one na for Zamfara na im dey happen. They say showdown looms as bandits still hold captives after Zamfara community release terrorist wife. Well, sometimes it baffles me that Nigeria has become a country where terrorists are being negotiated with. You see government officials negotiating with terrorists, and it is very appalling. It is very bad that a terrorist, that government will be negotiating with terrorists. Like what just happened in Zamfara is where terrorists kidnap people and the government held the wife, community held the terrorist's wife, and they now bargained that the terrorists now said, okay, for me to release your people, you have to release my wife. And after the guy's wife was released, he still hold the community people captive. Let's go to that information so that you can see what is happening and actually what this nation is now turning into. There is palpable fear of breakdown of law and order in Brini, Magaji community of Zamfara State over the refusal of bandits to release community members at their disposal even after their own wives were released by the youth who had abducted them. A reliable source in the community told PRN Nigeria that the failure on the part of the bandits to fulfill the expectation of the youth has set the community on the edge. A report by PR Nigeria on Saturday had revealed that residents of the community, in a bizarre twist, abducted family members of bandits as a retaliation of recent kidnapping incidents in the area. The youth of the community, in retaliation of the kidnapping of some residents, intercepted wives of the bandits, including a pregnant woman, and abducted them. It was later gathered that bandits gave residents of the area 24 hours to release their abducted wives, but the youth declined, insisting that bandits must first release the community members in their captivity. Though a negotiation was initiated between the community leaders and the bandits towards resolving the settlement, one of the terrorist kingpin ordered the release of their abducted family members within 24 hours or he would unleash terror on the community. A local source told PR Nigeria that after pressure from the authorities, the youth complied and released the women. The youth of the community are now feeling cheated and are boiling over the fact that the bandits have refused to reciprocate by also releasing the community dwellers they abducted. Actually, we have no reason to release the women for whatsoever it is, but when we were requested to consider the health challenges of the women, we succumbed. The women, including the pregnant one, came for medical treatment and antenatal at a public health facility in Bridge Magaji. Since the release of their wives, the bandits are yet to release our people that they abducted. This is not fair. We may henceforth retaliate since we also know some of their families. The community leader who pleaded anonymity lamented. Una don't see as it happen. What you can see here is that even the community knows those who are terrorizing their community. So now, if actually these people are known, I don't think there is anything that will stop them from unleashing terror on the families of these bandits. I think what they should do is not to take the law into their hand and also involve the government in order for the government to help them and curb this insecurity that is happening in their community. Because from what you can see here is that these people knows the bandits that are terrorizing their community. If you look at what is happening in Nigeria, sometimes it sounds funny and sometimes it is very bitter because what is actually happening is beyond like what we have been expecting for this nation. And another thing is how people are now turning into banditry is one of the things that baffles me. And the thing is that there is no job in the nation. And this government have refused to develop some rural areas, because had it been that these places are developed, I don't think that the issue of banditry will still be the case of today. But because these places are not developed, they are underdeveloped, there is no road network, there is no train network, and the rest of these things. And it's making the whole place to be a den for terrorists. And you find out that because some of these places are not developed, it gives the police and every other person hard time, to be able to track these people. Because by the time you call the police and the police start coming or the army start coming, because of bad road and lack of good road network, before the police themselves will get to that particular area, these bandits must have disappeared. So I think the best thing for the government to do is to give good, let there be good road network on some of these places. Meanwhile, I'll be winding down the curtain here, and if this is your first time of joining us on this wonderful channel, kindly go ahead and subscribe.